Steve Redden here at the Bill Sims Wool and Mohair Research Laboratory. I want to quickly run through how we do commercial core testing services. So samples come in a bag like this with a submission form requesting a certain number of tests. Generally, that's wool base for yield, VM, and micron. So these samples come in, they will be brought over to our blender. Those are put into the blender, spun for 3 minutes to equally blend up the wool. Those samples will be come out and put into a paper bag, weighed on this balance. We'll have a sample A and a sample B. Both of those will be 150 grams. From there, those samples will be put into the queue, or they'll come straight back to our washing and drying area. So for washing and drying, we are utilizing some equipment that was purchased in a partnership with the American Sheep Industries Association Sheep Venture Company. So these are scours. There's 3 bowls in each of them. We have 2 of them. Those samples, 150 grams, will go in. This machine is automated. It closes a door, injects soap into that sample. There's a plastic paddle that comes in and spins those and gets them really clean. And so it runs through several cycles, opens back up, takes about 10 minutes. Those samples will then go into a can that's got a screen on the top and the bottom. And so those samples will go into this can. That can will go in a centrifuge. It'll spin it to get as much water out as possible. Then we go into the dryers. There's 12 spots for different samples here. We'll fill this dryer up. It will close up, runs about 45 minutes to an hour to get them totally dry. They'll be taken out and weighed. This is a really important weight right here because this gives us kind of our basic, what we call the SODY, or our basic wool yield. But there's several other components that we need to collect to accurately make a wool yield prediction. So those samples will come over to this balance and they'll be weighed out into 3 subsets. 1 to conduct VM, 1 to conduct residual grease, 1 to conduct ash, actually 4, and then the 4th goes over to the laser scan to develop micron, and we also do residual grease so that we can hopefully bypass having to do residual grease. So our VM process is conducted here. We have these beakers that are filled up to 600 milliliters with water, and we add pellets to bring it down to a basic solution. The wool is put in. That basic solution dissolves all the wool away, and what we're left with is VM that looks something like this. This is actually going to be ashed, but those don't go into those crucibles. They go into these sieves. These sieves will be washed with water for 3 minutes, set aside, and then dried. After they're dried, then they classify and look at that sample and sort out, is it burrs or seeds or shives or any of the other common components of vegetable matter. The ash samples are going to go into these crucibles. They get set on a Bunsen burner, burned off, and then put into the ashing ovens over here. They have to stay in this oven for 2.5 hours to completely ash down, and then rest for about an hour to cool down so we can handle them. We'll weigh them back, and that determines our ash content. Our 4th component comes over to the mini core. So here's a sample of washed wool that will go into the mini core machine. It will pour them down into these little small components. They'll put into a beaker. This beaker then goes into the conditioner, so we get it at a constant temperature and humidity. That sample, once it sits in there overnight to condition, comes into the laser scan room where Dwayne is doing some tops here, and this laser scan is predicting micron for that wool, and so we can get it down to, tenths of a micron prediction. The last step right now in our process is that sample that was in the mini core over here will be come over and put into the NIR. We put it here, put a cover on it. It goes to the NIR and makes a prediction. So the last one we predicted was 1.65% residual grease. We're hopeful that in the coming months we'll be able to bypass residual grease with the NIR. After that, all that data is put into a spreadsheet, makes a lot of calculations, and generates us test reports. So those test reports are then sent to the clients, which are our warehousemen. They're then marketing that wool to the wool trade, and eventually those checks will make it back to the sheep rancher. So that's our commercial core task service in a nutshell. Thanks for watching.